Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. I never thought a mundane task like doing laundry could turn my life upside down. It was a quiet Saturday morning, and my wife, Lisa, had gone out to do some grocery shopping. The house was eerily silent, with only the hum of the washing machine filling the void. I was folding the last of the clothes from the dryer when I noticed something unusual. Among our familiar linens were two fluffy white towels, neatly folded but unmistakably out of place. They had the name, the Grand Oaks Hotel, elegantly embroidered on them. My first thought was confusion. We hadn't traveled or stayed in a hotel for ages, not since our 10th anniversary trip 2 years ago. I racked my brain, trying to recall if Lisa had mentioned anything about staying at a hotel for work, but nothing came to mind. Our lives had been pretty routine lately. Work, home, the occasional dinner with friends, nothing that would explain the presence of these towels. I picked up one of the towels, running my fingers over the neat stitching. The name, the Grand Oaks Hotel, stared back at me, mocking my bewilderment. A knot of suspicion began to tighten in my stomach. Could Lisa have taken a trip without telling me? Or worse, was she hiding something? I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling as I continued with the laundry. Every time I passed by the towels, my mind churned with possibilities. By the time Lisa returned home, I was a bundle of nerves, my thoughts a tangled mess. "Hey, honey," she greeted me, setting the grocery bags on the kitchen counter. "What's up?" I forced a smile, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just doing some laundry." "How was the grocery run?" "Same as always." "They were out of your favorite cereal, though," she replied, putting away the groceries. "Anything interesting happen here?" I hesitated, then decided to confront her directly. "Actually, I found something strange in the laundry." Lisa paused, a can of soup in her hand. "Strange? What do you mean?" I reached for the towels and held them up. "These. They're from the Grand Oaks Hotel. I don't remember us ever staying there." A flicker of surprise crossed her face, quickly masked by a casual shrug. "Oh, those. I borrowed them from a friend who works there. Our towels were getting old, and I thought I'd try these out before buying new ones." It sounded plausible, but something in her tone didn't sit right with me. "A friend? Who?" "Just someone from my book club," she said, too quickly. "No big deal, really." I nodded slowly, not entirely convinced. Lisa had never mentioned anyone from her book club working at a hotel before. As she went about her business, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something from me. The rest of the day passed in a blur, my mind constantly returning to the towels and Lisa's odd behavior. That night, as we lay in bed, I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. Lisa fell asleep quickly, her breathing even and calm. I wished I could do the same, but my thoughts were a whirlwind of doubt and suspicion. I turned to look at her, studying her peaceful face. Was she really capable of lying to me? Of hiding something so significant? The next few days were tense. Lisa seemed oblivious to my growing unease, going about her routine as if nothing had happened. I tried to push the suspicions aside, telling myself I was being paranoid. But the towels continued to haunt me, a constant reminder that something was off. On Wednesday, I finally decided to take matters into my own hands. I couldn't live with the uncertainty any longer. I needed answers. I took a day off from work, claiming I wasn't feeling well. Lisa left for her job at the local library, and I waited until she was out of sight before grabbing my car keys. I drove to the Grand Oaks Hotel, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The hotel was an impressive building, with its grand entrance and lush landscaping. I parked my car and made my way inside, feeling like an intruder in a world I didn't belong to. At the front desk, a cheerful receptionist greeted me. "Good morning, sir." How can I help you today? I forced a smile. Good morning. I was wondering if I could speak with someone who might be able to help me with a question about some towels. The receptionist raised an eyebrow but nodded. Sure, let me call our housekeeping manager. Please, have a seat. I sat down in the plush lobby, my nerves fraying with each passing minute. Finally, a middle-aged woman in a smart uniform approached me. Hello, I'm Marie, the housekeeping manager. How can I assist you? I stood up, trying to keep my voice steady. Hi, Marie. This might sound strange, but I found some towels from this hotel in my home, and I'm trying to figure out how they got there. My wife mentioned she borrowed them from a friend who works here. Marie's friendly demeanor faltered slightly. I see. Do you know your wife's friend's name? I shook my head. No, she didn't mention a name. Marie pursed her lips, thinking. Well, we do have strict policies about our linens, but mistakes happen. If you'd like, I can check our records to see if any of our staff have recently taken towels off the premises. I nodded, grateful for her help. Thank you, I appreciate it. As Marie disappeared into an office, I felt a strange mix of relief and dread. Part of me hoped this was all a big misunderstanding, that there was a simple explanation. But another part feared what I might discover. Marie returned after a few minutes, her expression neutral. I checked our records, and none of our staff have reported taking any towels home. I'm sorry, but I can't help you there. My heart sank. I see. Thank you for checking. As I walked back to my car, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being drawn into something much deeper than I had anticipated. The towels were just the beginning, a clue that hinted at a larger, more troubling mystery. I knew I couldn't rest until I uncovered the truth, no matter where it led me. That night, as Lisa slept beside me, I made a silent vow to get to the bottom of this. I would follow her, watch her every move if I had to. The towels had opened a door, and there was no turning back now. The following morning dawns clear and bright, a sharp contrast to the storm brewing in my mind. Lisa leaves for work, her cheerful goodbye kiss a dagger to my heart. I watch her car pull out of the driveway, my resolve hardening. Today, I will follow her. I wait a few minutes before grabbing my keys and heading to my car. The drive to the library is short, and I park a few spaces down from Lisa's usual spot. I see her enter the building, her figure swallowed by the automatic doors. For a moment, I hesitate. What if I'm wrong? What if this is all in my head? But the towels. I can't ignore the towels. My phone buzzes, pulling me from my thoughts. It's a message from my colleague, Mark. Hey, you okay? Heard you were sick. I quickly type a response, my fingers trembling slightly. Yeah, just a bug. Thanks for checking in. Mark and I work closely together, and I know he's concerned. But I can't confide in him. Not yet. I need answers first. I settle back in my seat, eyes glued to the library entrance. Time seems to crawl, each passing minute an eternity. Finally, after what feels like hours, Lisa emerges. She's talking on her phone, her expression serious. I can't hear her words, but her body language speaks volumes. She glances around, as if checking for something, or someone, before heading to her car. I wait until she's a few blocks away before starting my car and following her. She drives across town, the route unfamiliar. My heart pounds as I trail her, careful to keep a safe distance. Finally, she pulls into the parking lot of a small, nondescript hotel, the Riverside Inn. My blood runs cold. I park a few spaces away, watching as Lisa exits her car and heads inside. Every instinct screams at me to confront her, to demand answers, but I hold back. I need to see for myself. I slip out of my car and follow her into the hotel. The lobby is dimly lit, the air heavy with the scent of old carpet and stale coffee. Lisa is at the front desk, speaking with the receptionist. I duck behind a potted plant, my heart in my throat. "I have a reservation," I hear her say, her voice low. The receptionist nods, typing something into the computer. "Room 204. Enjoy your stay." Lisa takes the keycard, her fingers brushing against the receptionist's hand for a fraction too long. I grit my teeth, a surge of anger and betrayal washing over me. As she heads to the elevator, I dart to the stairwell, taking the steps two at a time. I reach the second floor just as the elevator doors open. Lisa steps out, her eyes scanning the hallway. I press myself against the wall, barely daring to breathe. She walks to room 204 and slips inside. I wait a few minutes, my mind racing. What am I doing? What if she sees me? But the need to know drives me forward. I approach the door, my heart pounding so loudly I'm sure she'll hear it. I press my ear to the wood, straining to catch any sound. Voices. A man's voice, low and familiar. My blood turns to ice. I fumble for my phone, activating the voice recorder. If I can't confront her now, I can at least gather evidence. I listen, my hands shaking. "Are you sure he doesn't suspect anything?" the man's voice asks. "I'm positive," Lisa replies. "He thinks I borrowed the towels from a friend." There's a pause, then the man speaks again. "Good. We need to be careful. If this gets out, I can't take it anymore." I push the door open, my eyes blazing with fury. Lisa and my boss, Mr. Reynolds, jump apart, their faces a mirror of shock and horror. "Jake!" Lisa gasps, her face paling. Mr. Reynolds, a man in his 70s with a shock of white hair, stares at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "Jake, this isn't what it looks like." I let out a bitter laugh. "Really? Because it looks like my wife is cheating on me with my boss. A man old enough to be her grandfather." Lisa steps forward, tears streaming down her face. "Jake, please, let me explain." I hold up a hand, cutting her off. "No, I've heard enough. I don't need explanations. I need the truth." Mr. Reynolds clears his throat, trying to regain some semblance of dignity. "Jake, this is a misunderstanding. Lisa and we've been seeing each other for a few months. It started as comfort. We never meant to hurt you." I feel a surge of contempt. "Comfort? Is that what you call this? Deceiving me, lying to my face?" Lisa sobs, her shoulders shaking. "I'm so sorry, Jake. I didn't want to hurt you." I turn to her, my anger boiling over. "You didn't want to hurt me. You've torn my life apart, Lisa. How could you?" The room falls silent, the weight of betrayal hanging heavy in the air. I turn on my heel and storm out, slamming the door behind me. My mind is a whirlwind of rage and pain, but one thing is clear: I will make them pay. I drive aimlessly, my thoughts racing. How could Lisa do this to me? And with Mr. Reynolds, of all people. The man is old enough to be her grandfather. The image of them together is seared into my mind, a twisted nightmare I can't escape. I pull over into a quiet park, my hands gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white. The need for revenge burns in my chest, a fierce, unrelenting flame. I will make them regret this. I will ruin their lives the way they've ruined mine. I take a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. I need a plan. Something that will hit them where it hurts. And I know exactly where to start. Back at home, I scour the internet, gathering information on Mr. Reynolds. His reputation, his business dealings, his family. The more I learn, the more I realize just how much he has to lose. His granddaughter's wedding is coming up, a grand affair that he's been bragging about for months. If I can expose him, it will ruin everything. I start making calls, gathering allies. Mark is the first. He's shocked and angry when I tell him about Lisa and Mr. Reynolds, and he agrees to help me. Together, we begin to lay the groundwork for my revenge. As the days pass, I follow Lisa and Mr. Reynolds, documenting their every move. I collect evidence, photos, recordings. I become a shadow, always watching, always waiting. The day of reckoning is coming, and when it does, they won't know what hit them. Late one night, I sit in my study, surrounded by photos and notes. The final piece of the puzzle falls into place, and I smile, a cold, vindictive smile. Tomorrow, I will put my plan into action. Tomorrow, Lisa and Mr. Reynolds will pay for their betrayal. I close my eyes, the image of Lisa's tear-streaked face burning in my mind. I once loved her more than anything, but now, all I feel is hatred. She made her choice, and now she will face the consequences. As dawn breaks, I prepare for the day ahead. I gather my evidence, my resolve hardening. Today, I will take the first step towards my revenge. Today, I will begin to ruin their lives. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear: Lisa and Mr. Reynolds will never forget the day they crossed me. And by the time I'm done, they will regret every moment they spent together. This is just the beginning, and I won't stop until they've paid for their betrayal in full. The morning of my plan, I wake up with a steely determination. Today is the day I begin my revenge. Lisa's betrayal and Mr. Reynolds' deceit have fueled a fire in me that will not be extinguished until they've paid. I arrive at the office early, my mind racing with anticipation. I spend the morning as if nothing is wrong, greeting my coworkers and going about my tasks. But inside, I'm plotting every step. Mark joins me in the break room, his expression serious. "Are you sure about this, Jake?" he asks, his voice low. I nod, my jaw set. I'm sure. They need to be exposed. Mark sighs, glancing around to ensure no one is listening. All right. I've got the photos and recordings you asked for. It's all ready. Good, I reply, a sense of grim satisfaction settling over me. Let's make sure everyone sees it. We head to our respective desks, and I wait for the right moment. Mr. Reynolds arrives around 10 a.m., his usual confident stride now a source of disgust for me. I watch him from across the office, my fingers itching to set the plan in motion. I send Mark a quick text. It's time. Minutes later, I hear a commotion near the break room. Curious coworkers gather around, whispers spreading like wildfire. Mark emerges, looking pale and shaken. What's going on? I ask, feigning ignorance. Someone's been posting photos and recordings of Mr. Reynolds and, someone, Mark says, loud enough for those around us to hear. It's all over the office network. The whispers grow louder, people scrambling to check their computers. I follow the crowd, making my way to the break room where the office manager, Susan, is trying to calm everyone down. Everyone, please return to your desks, she says, her voice shaking. We're handling this situation. But the damage is done. The photos and recordings are explicit, leaving no room for doubt about Mr. Reynolds' affair with Lisa. I watch as his face turns ashen, his composure crumbling in front of everyone. This is an invasion of privacy, he shouts, his voice breaking. Who did this? I step forward, my heart pounding. Mr. Reynolds, these are serious accusations. We all trusted you. He glares at me, rage and desperation in his eyes. You have no right. Enough, Susan interrupts, her tone firm. Mr. Reynolds, we need to talk. Now. They disappear into her office, leaving the rest of us to speculate. I can see the shock and confusion on my co-workers' faces, some whispering, others openly discussing what they saw. The office is abuzz with the scandal, and I know it's only the beginning. I return to my desk, my phone buzzing with messages from Mark. "You did it, man. Everyone's talking about it." "Good," I reply. "Now for part 2. I wait until lunch break, then slip out of the office. I head to the Riverside Inn, where I know Lisa and Mr. Reynolds have been meeting. I check in at the front desk, requesting a room with a view of the parking lot. The receptionist gives me a curious look but hands over the key. In the room, I set up my equipment, a camera with a long lens and a laptop to monitor the feed. I settle in, waiting. It doesn't take long for Lisa to arrive. She parks her car and heads inside, looking around nervously. I snap photos, capturing every moment. She disappears into the elevator, and I wait, my patience wearing thin. An hour later, Mr. Reynolds arrives. His usually confident demeanor is gone, replaced by a frantic, jittery energy. I snap more photos, my anger fueling my determination. They meet in the lobby, exchanging a few hurried words before heading upstairs. I know what they're doing, and it disgusts me. Back in the office, the fallout from the morning's events is still unfolding. Mr. Reynolds hasn't returned, and Susan is tight-lipped about what's happening behind closed doors. The tension is palpable, everyone on edge. I gather the new photos and head to Mark's desk. "I got more," I whisper, handing him the memory card. "Make sure these get out." He nods, his expression grim. "This is gonna blow up, Jake." "That's the point," I reply, my voice cold. "They deserve it." The rest of the day is a blur. The photos make their way through the office, igniting a fresh wave of gossip and speculation. I can see the strain on everyone's faces, the shock of the betrayal hitting hard. Mr. Reynolds and Lisa have tarnished the reputation of our company, and it's only a matter of time before the higher-ups get involved. As the workday ends, I receive a text from Lisa. "We need to talk. Please, Jake." I ignore it, heading home with a sense of grim satisfaction. I know I've only just begun to dismantle their lives, and there's more to come. I spend the evening going over my notes, planning the next steps. The final piece of my plan involves the wedding, a public humiliation that will leave no doubt about their betrayal. The next morning, I arrive at the office to find it in chaos. Mr. Reynolds has been suspended pending an investigation, and Lisa is nowhere to be seen. I hear snippets of conversations, people discussing the scandal in hushed tones. "Did you hear about the wedding?" someone whispers. "I heard it's been called off." "Serves him right," another replies. "He's ruined everything." I hide a smile, knowing my plan is working. I spend the day tying up loose ends, making sure every detail is in place for the final act. I arrange a meeting with Susan, ensuring she has all the evidence she needs to bring Mr. Reynolds down. By the time I leave the office, I feel a sense of closure. I've exposed their affair, tarnished their reputations, and ensured they'll never forget the consequences of their actions. But there's one final step, the wedding. I drive to the church where Mr. Reynolds' granddaughter is getting married, slipping in among the guests. The ceremony is about to begin, the air thick with anticipation. I take a seat at the back, my camera ready. As the bride walks down the aisle, I feel a pang of guilt. She's innocent in all this, but her grandfather's actions have consequences. I wait, biding my time. When the priest asks if anyone objects, I stand up, my voice ringing out in the silent church. "I do," I say, my words echoing. "Mr. Reynolds, tell your family the truth." Gasps fill the air, and all eyes turn to me. Mr. Reynolds pales, his granddaughter looking at him with wide, shocked eyes. "Jake, Please, he stammers, but it's too late. I hold up the photos, my voice unwavering. This man has been cheating on his wife with my wife. He's a liar and a cheat, and he doesn't deserve your respect. The room erupts into chaos, people shouting and demanding answers. I slip out, my heart pounding with a mix of adrenaline and satisfaction. I've done what I came to do. I've exposed the truth and shattered their lives. As I drive away, I feel a strange sense of peace. I know I'll have to deal with the fallout, but for now, I'm content. I've taken my revenge, and I can move forward. Lisa and Mr. Reynolds have lost everything, and I've ensured they'll never forget the consequences of their betrayal. The aftermath of my public outburst at the wedding is swift and brutal. Mr. Reynolds is fired, his reputation in ruins. The wedding is cancelled, leaving his family shattered and bewildered. Lisa moves out, her tearful apologies falling on deaf ears. I feel a cold satisfaction at the destruction I've wrought, but something nags at me, an uneasy feeling I can't shake. A week later, as I sit alone in my now empty house, my phone rings. It's Mark. Jake, we need to talk. Can you meet me at the bar? His voice is urgent, almost frantic. I agree, curiosity piqued. At the bar, I find Mark already at a corner table, a half-empty beer in front of him. He looks up as I approach, his expression grave. Jake, I've been digging into Mr. Reynolds' background. There's something you need to know. I sit down, my heart pounding. What is it, Mark? He takes a deep breath. Mr. Reynolds wasn't the one who started the affair. Lisa did. She's been planning this for months. She set him up. I stare at him, disbelief washing over me. What? Why would she do that? Mark leans in, his voice low. I think she's after something bigger. I found emails, messages, she's been in contact with Mr. Reynolds' competitors. She's been feeding them information. My mind reels. So, she's a spy. For his rivals. Mark nods. Looks like it. And she used the affair to blackmail him, to get him to hand over sensitive data. I feel a wave of nausea. Everything I thought I knew has been turned on its head. Lisa wasn't just cheating on me, she was manipulating everyone. What do we do? I ask, my voice hollow. We expose her, Mark says firmly. But we need proof. I have some leads, but we need more. The next few days are a blur of covert operations. Mark and I gather evidence, piecing together Lisa's betrayal. The more we uncover, the deeper her deceit goes. She's been siphoning money from our company, using Mr. Reynolds as a pawn in her twisted game. One evening, as I review the files we've collected, there's a knock on my door. I open it to find Lisa standing there, looking haggard and desperate. Jake, please, can we talk? She pleads, her eyes red from crying. I step aside, letting her in. Talk. She sits down, wringing her hands. I know you hate me, and I deserve it. But you need to know the truth. Mr. Reynolds, he wasn't just my lover. He was my partner. I narrow my eyes. Partner? In what? She takes a deep breath. In a plan to take down his competitors. He approached me months ago, said he needed someone on the inside. Someone who could get close to his rivals and feed him information. It started as a job, but things got complicated. I feel a surge of anger. So you used me. Our marriage. Tears spill down her cheeks. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I never wanted to hurt you. But Mr. Reynolds, he became obsessed. He wanted more. When I tried to back out, he threatened me. Said he'd ruin us both. I stare at her, my mind racing. Could this be true? Or is it another one of her lies? I don't know what to believe, I say, my voice trembling with emotion. She reaches for my hand, but I pull away. Jake, please. I'm sorry. I want to make things right. Before I can respond, my phone buzzes. It's Mark. Found more evidence. Meet me at the office. I look at Lisa. This isn't over. We'll talk later. At the office, Mark shows me the new files he's uncovered. They paint a damning picture of Mr. Reynolds' schemes, but also reveal something more. Lisa was being blackmailed. Mr. Reynolds had discovered her initial betrayal and used it against her, forcing her to continue working for him. It's all here, Mark says, tapping the files. We can take this to the authorities. They'll handle the rest. I nod, feeling a mix of relief and despair. The truth is out, but the cost is high. We turn the evidence over to the police, and the ensuing investigation is swift. Mr. Reynolds is arrested, his empire crumbling. Lisa is taken in for questioning, her fate uncertain. A few weeks later, I receive a call from Detective Harris, the officer in charge of the case. Mr. Thompson, we've reviewed all the evidence. Your wife, she was coerced, but she's still guilty of several crimes. She's agreed to a plea deal in exchange for her cooperation. I thank him and hang up, feeling a strange sense of closure. Lisa's actions have consequences, but there's a glimmer of hope that she might find redemption. As I sit in my empty house, reflecting on everything that's happened, there's another knock on the door. I open it to find Mark standing there, a small smile on his face. Hey, thought you might need a friend, he says, holding up a six-pack of beer. I smile, stepping aside to let him in. Thanks, Mark. I could use one. We sit in the living room, talking about everything and nothing. For the first time in weeks, I feel a sense of peace. The storm has passed, and I'm ready to rebuild my life. Jake, Mark says suddenly, there's something else you should know. I found out who left those hotel towels in your laundry. It wasn't Lisa. I look at him, puzzled. What do you mean? He grins. It was me. I saw them at a conference and thought they'd make a funny prank. I had no idea it would lead to all this. I stare at him, then burst out laughing. The absurdity of it all hits me, and I laugh until tears stream down my face. Mark joins in, and for the first time, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders. In the end, the truth is stranger than fiction. Life is messy, unpredictable, and often cruel. But it's also filled with moments of unexpected clarity, where everything makes sense, if only for a moment. As Mark and I sit there, laughing and reminiscing, I realize that this is my new beginning. The past is behind me, and the future is mine to shape. And with friends like Mark by my side, I know I'll be okay. The intrigue, the betrayal, the revenge, it's all part of a story that's come to an end. But my story is just beginning, and I'm ready to face whatever comes next.